Yo, yo. I'm just gonna say, hands down, this is probably one of the best One Punch Man chapters I have ever read. On top of that, I would say that this is probably chapter of the year. It's what I just read. Like, what I just read in this chapter that I'm about to talk about is so incredible. I'm trying to figure out a way to form words. That's how incredible this chapter of One Punch Man is. It is insane. Okay, so before I go into it, obviously this will contain spoilers. This is a reaction video slash like just first impressions video, like a mix in between of the latest chapter of One Punch Man, chapter 166 to be exact, and holy crap. If you're not up to date, and if you haven't read the chapter that has come out today, I recommend you go read the chapter and then come back, because, oh my goodness, like, I gotta talk about this. I gotta talk about this chapter, because it is something that just blew my freaking mind. So, enough waiting. I'm excited to just dive headfirst into this chapter and talk about it. So, first things first, this color page, absolutely beautiful. Just straight up beautiful. Look at how beautiful this cover page for One Punch Man is. Seriously, Murata is such a good artist, and just seeing this beautiful color page that really just demonstrates the almighty power of, you know, ascended or awakened Garou is something that is just so cool. Like, this is such a cool looking color page. Like, I'm gonna put this in perspective. People were always hopping up, myself included, Boros, you know, in One Punch Man, like Boros versus Saitama, but what we just got to see in this chapter, in the previous chapter 165, was something that many of us have been waiting for a very long time, because it goes beyond anything that Saitama versus Boros was about, because this right here truly is a villain worthy of Saitama, and oh my goodness, I love this chapter. So, okay, let's talk about it. So, one of the big things, I'm just gonna skip ahead here. I want to skip towards the end here. I want to talk about this final sequence of the chapter, right there. Holy crap. Like, Genos dies. Obviously, like, look, he gets impelled, literally gets impelled. Now, we've seen Genos become basically thrown to the side, etc. throughout fights, but this man legitimately gets impelled. Absolutely impelled. And to kind of certify the fact that he is in fact dead, we go onward. You see rain pouring, signifying sadness, etc. And when you see Genos just laying there on the ground, Saitama's looking at it. But then if you look closer, you know, Saitama's reaction, I'll talk about... This is such a good reaction. I'll talk about that in a second. But then you see him throw Genos' core or heart at Saitama, and Saitama catches it, basically saying that Genos is dead. Straight up, just dead. He is dead. And it is so crazy to see that Genos is literally dead at this point. Holy crap. I did not think I would see something like this. But let's back up. Let's talk about this reaction. We have seen a lot from One Punch Man. Saitama, we know, is one of those characters that no matter who he fights, no matter the odds, he will always come out on top, because that's how his character is written. For instance, if someone is able to use black holes, he'll be able to somehow transcend like black holes and be able to overcome the gravitational force of it and fight. We know that's Saitama's character. We know this. And obviously, if you look at the synopsis and the summary of One Punch Man, or you just look at it at face value, you might not think that Saitama would be a very interesting character, because he's basically the equivalent of Superman. There's differences, obviously, but he's the equivalent of Superman. Saitama literally is pretty much invincible. He cannot be defeated. However, there's things that you could do with characters that are invincible, etc., to make them fascinating. There's definitely been some depictions of Superman that has done this. And so when you look at Saitama, all of his fights, most of the time we've ever seen Saitama in a fight, he doesn't really have raw emotion. He doesn't have much motion. He more or less just plays around, doesn't go all in. Even with Boros' ridiculous attacks and what he did in his fight against Saitama, Saitama didn't really try at all. We know this. We 100% know that Saitama didn't try. That was the whole message of that. For instance, Boros is more like that shonen protag trying to square up with the villain or another rival, and he loses completely, and he's like, you didn't really try. You didn't even humor me. I was not even close. It's very fascinating. I love the Boros fight for that, and I think many love that fight because of the message behind it. But the thing is Saitama as a character, you know, he's someone that doesn't show a lot of emotion. He gets a little bit agitated in comedy skits, etc., but overall, we don't truly see 100% raw emotion from him. It's very rare. And so this page, this look of Saitama that we're currently looking at on screen, this shows a side of Saitama that we just don't get to see. It's a very different expression, obviously. And that's one of the biggest beauties, I think, of One Punch Man, is that I think many obviously have clued in on this and know about this, but Saitama's overall design, you know, he has like no hair, basically no eyebrows, you know, he's just a very blank, dull face. When you look at his design, it looks very plain, but because of how plain his design is, you know, Murata, that is the artist for One Punch Man, you know, can put so much life and emotion into Saitama's face with such a plain look, and it's skill. It takes a lot of skill to do that. I commend Murata for even being able to do that. And so when you see the expression of Saitama here, you could just see loneliness, sadness, anger, potential malice, and just straight up just killing intent. Like, you could feel it from the way this page is drawn, and like the blood as well on Saitama just dripping down, you know, making you wonder if it's Saitama's blood, someone else's blood, or if it's just the rain and the nuclear fallout, to just the teared up like outfit of Saitama, how it looks really destroyed. Just everything about this entire image really builds emotion. It builds your expectations for what Saitama is going to do next after literally seeing Genos getting impelled. That's what you wonder. And so when I look at Saitama's raw emotion, it hurts. It really does. And it makes you wonder where his character is going to go. Because, once again, Saitama as a character, he'll always win. But it's how you take his character and how you write it, if it's interesting or not. It's just how you use the character in writing. And obviously, this is going to be a different fight. Because Saitama's never really went into a fight to just, like, to really end someone, to truly just straight up end them. But this right here is showing that Saitama is going to do that. I mean, right off the bat, the man literally, he starts the fight after, you know, monologuing to himself. He gets the serious expression here, and then he uses a killer move series. Like, you literally see killer move, serious series. Just straight off the bat, he goes full into it with the death punch. Like, literally symbolic for what he did against Genos. The punch of death itself going towards, you know, Garou. It's interesting to see the overall drawing and depiction of this. It's like Saitama is going for a killing punch. He is not trying to really hold back for the most part. And it's interesting. I really like this. For instance, you know, Garou, he literally retaliates by using mode Saitama just to be able to hold back Saitama's strength. And they going at each other. You can literally see them going at each other, and it's wild. Like, it's absolutely wild. We don't get to see what happens after that because obviously, you know, the chapter, you know, ends there, but it's just very, very fascinating, because Saitama literally is the face of death right now, and I like the contrast, by the way, here. Like, I like this. Like, I want to point this out. Look at Saitama's face. It's completely darkened, basically like death or evil itself, while you have Garou, he has the face of light that's mimicking Saitama, and his face looks more like you can understand him, or he's not necessarily evil. And I like how, in this way, even though obviously Garou is the villain and Saitama is the hero, their facial expressions are swapped. It's very intentional color palette swap to just show we cannot read Saitama right now. He is a blank canvas, and we don't know what he's going to do. Like, how serious is he really going to be in this fight against Garou? It's great. Absolutely incredible. But, okay, let's back up. Let's talk about Blast. So, Blast as a character, I love his demonstration of his power throughout this chapter. I mean, clearly from this, I love it. He is able to, like, create, like, dimension rifts or whatever. He's able to fight with gravity itself. And for the most part, we really get to see how strong Blast is, how he's in a tier of his own amongst all the S-rank heroes, because we have seen pretty much all the S-rank heroes at this point. We got to see their strength, their weaknesses, etc., and obviously Blast probably can't win against Garou, because Garou is being, you know, empowered by God itself of this universe. But Blast has been fighting God the entire time throughout the storyline, and it's so fascinating, because if you look at this fight, Blast literally is able to fight Garou, and he's able to kind of reflect and negate Garou's damage, as you can see here, going through and causing like nuclear fallout, and it still kind of breaks through the dimensions, but Blast doesn't take any hits, really. He doesn't take much damage whatsoever, and he's able to redirect the hits that Garou uses towards him to other dimensions, and it just shows the overall skill and level of Blast in comparison to the other S-rank heroes. He really is in a league of his own. It makes a lot of sense now why he's just been doing his own thing. He's been dealing with a greater threat that, you know, normally people can't deal with. I really just love Blast's character. You know, he's only been in a few chapters. You've heard him hyped up for a very long time, but I love the fact of how strong he is and how he's even able to help out and actually fight off Awakened Garou to such an extent. It is insane. It's absolutely insane to be able to see that. So just, I love it. I love the effects. The artwork obviously is incredible, but obviously we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the nuclear fallout. So we get to see, you know, how Garou's very essence itself, like this aura he has, and all of his attacks are pretty much letting off an aura of radiation. And I think everybody knows what radiation does to someone, okay? It's common sense. It's literally like a disease, pretty much. It just destroys everything around. And so, because of that, Garou is just crippling the entire planet. The planet's literally going to die. Even Blast himself says that this planet will not last much longer. It's about to become a dead planet. And we get to see, like, you know, after all of this, when everybody's down on the ground, you get to see basically everyone on the ground. You get to see just all the S-rank heroes, everyone literally just laying on the ground. And it kind of demonstrates the fact that, you know, Garou's nuclear fallout is just destroying them. They can't do anything. I mean, even the chapter kind of begins, it opens up with a, like, showcasing that people are losing their hair because of the nuclear fallout. Like, look at this. You see Child Emperor, he's literally losing his hair because of the nuclear fallout and the radiation. So, it's really bad right now. Like, you don't just get rid of radiation. You don't do that. Especially when your hair's starting to fall out. So, the only way that I see any of this being corrected at this point, truly, in One Punch Man, is by time travel. I'm serious. Like, time travel. Because you don't just get rid of radiation in someone. You don't do that. That's not how it works. Obviously, this is a manga, and there's superpowers, etc., but just the way everything is being depicted into this fight, there's going to have to be a reset of some kind, because even Genos, he's dead. Genos is straight dead. So, wild. It's wild what is going on in One Punch Man right now, but, incredible chapter. Absolutely incredible chapter. One of the best chapters of One Punch Man to date, and probably one of the best chapters I've read all year from manga. It's so good. But I'm going to leave it at that. I was super hyped. I had to talk about this. But if you enjoyed the video to any degree, you know, please drop me a like. It does help me out. It allows these videos to be noticed more in the algorithm. It allows you guys to get them if you want my recommendations, etc. And it would just make my day if you guys also left a like. So with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much. Chibi out.